Welcome to the Nourish to Thrive podcast, faith-forward, science-backed strategies for women who want more energy, less weight, and real answers. I'm your host, Tanya Pennington-Miller, a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and functional blood chemistry specialist with a master's degree in applied clinical nutrition. If you're tired of feeling dismissed by your doctor, confused by your labs, and stuck in survival mode, you're in the right place. Here, we simplify the science. We get to the root, and we anchor it all in truth, because God made your body to heal and thrive, not just survive. It just needs the right kind of support and less noise. Hello, my friend. Welcome into the Nourish to Thrive podcast. I'm so glad you're back with me today. I've been thinking a lot lately about how we move through our days and how easy it is to rush and to push and to squeeze just a little more out of ourselves without ever asking what it is that our bodies actually need. And it made me realize something. The simplest things are often the ones that we overlook, but they're also the ones that God tends to use to bring us back into balance. And for me, one of those things was walking. I mean, for years, I saw walking as, I don't know, maybe like a filler, like something you did to, get your steps in or to recover between like the real workouts, right? And honestly, I think a lot of us see it that way. Like it doesn't really count unless it's intense or it's timed or it's tracked, right? But over the years, I have learned that walking is anything but small. Like it is so quietly powerful. It's the thing that carried me through some of my hardest seasons, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually too. Because sometimes the things that look the simplest are actually the ones that can heal the deepest. They're the things that help you breathe again, that remind your body that it is safe, that bring you back into rhythm one step at a time. Pun intended. So if you've ever felt like walking is too easy or too slow or not enough to move the needle, I want you to lean in today and just really listen, because this conversation might shift how you see movement and maybe even how you see healing. So we're going to talk about how walking impacts your adrenals, your thyroid, your blood sugar, and therefore your hormones, and how this one simple rhythm can become this daily act of restoration. Okay, not just exercise, although it is as well. So if you're ready, let's walk this out together. So for most of my life, I just did not value walking the way I do now. I really saw it as something that you did before the real workout, or, as an active recovery when you couldn't get a workout in. And for years, that mindset worked for me until it didn't. And when I was deep in adrenal exhaustion, and I talked to you about this in the last episode, so if you want a deeper dive on adrenals and cortisol, then listen to the last episode. But my nervous system was maxed out. And through that season, I continued competing in CrossFit. I was running half marathons. I was still coaching figure and bikini and physique athletes. Like I was still pushing because that's what I'd always done. But I started noticing something that scared me. The very workouts that used to make me feel strong and energized ended up leaving me feeling depleted. Like my recovery tanked. My sleep got worse. And no matter how much I trained, my body just felt like it was working against me. And I remember during the season, I would get home from like a longer Saturday run, and I would literally be planted on the couch the rest of the day, just completely fatigued. And at the time, I really wrote it off as, well, I ran a long distance. Of course I feel this way. But exercise should not leave us wrecked for the remainder of the day. Like maybe if we had some kind of event, right? We ran a marathon, we did something big, like, in that scenario, then yes. So when my functional practitioner at the time told me, I want you to stop all high intensity exercise for now, and I just want you to walk. It was like, walk? That's it? Like, if I'm being honest, it felt like a little bit of a failure at first. Like I was losing my identity as an athlete. But that shift, that season of learning to walk again truly ended up being one of the most healing, and I have to say, humbling things that I've ever done for my body. Because as I slowed my body down, I started hearing what it had been trying to tell me all along. And here's the part that still makes me emotional to say out loud. After nearly a decade of infertility during that season of slower living, morning walks, gentle rhythms, lower stress, I became pregnant naturally. No treatments, no protocol I was following, just a body that finally felt safe enough to do what it was designed to do. So when I tell you that walking is powerful, I don't mean it lightly. It was one of the first ways that my body learned to trust me again. And thinking about that very season is what inspired this very episode. Now, before we go any further, don't let me lose you here, because trust me, I know how some of you are feeling about this because I have been there. Like, this slow down conversation is one of the hardest ones I have, both for myself years ago and for the women I work with now. I have had consults with athletes, CrossFitters, runners, MMA fighters, like women who are disciplined, who are driven, who are doing everything right. And they come to me at the end of their rope, gaining weight, feeling puffy, not sleeping, hair thinning, right? Like, they know something is off. And when I tell them that one of the commitments I need from them is to temporarily pull back on the intensity, I mean, I can see the hesitation instantly. In fact, I lose some of them completely. Like, I never see them again after that consult. And I get it, because slowing down feels like losing ground. It feels like doing less when your brain has been wired to believe that more is the answer. And maybe even deeper, it feels like losing a piece of who they've always been. So for many women, strength has become their identity. And I'd include myself in that. They think people expect it of them. So the thought of pulling back, even if it's temporarily, can feel like a failure, like they're letting people down. But this is not a weakness. It's truly practicing wisdom. And it's not about quitting. It's just about creating safety again. And if you've been in the same cycle, pushing harder but feeling worse, I want you to stick with me here, because what I'm about to explain next will help you understand why your body is responding the way it is and how walking, of all things, can help to reset it. So here's where we're heading today. We're going to unpack why walking is one of the most underrated tools for hormone balance, especially for women over 35. Okay? Because this isn't just about steps or calorie burn. This is about physiology. This is about rhythm. It's about creating the internal safety your hormones depend on to do their job. And here's what I want to look at together today. I want to look at how walking regulates cortisol and supports adrenal recovery, how it improves insulin sensitivity and balances blood sugar, how it supports thyroid function and metabolic health, how it helps to clear inflammation and excess estrogen, okay, and more specifically, recycled estrogen, which is very toxic in our body, and how it calms your nervous system so that your body can finally rest and restore. And then we're going to talk about how to make walking work for you, how to pair it with light, with nourishment, and in your daily rhythm so that it actually supports your hormones instead of draining them. So let's get to it. So I think it's fair to say that when most people think of walking, they think of it as just a very light exercise, or maybe something we do to get our steps in, or recover from exercise, or clear your mind, right? But it really is so much more than that. It's one of the simplest and most effective ways to bring your hormones, your metabolism, and your nervous system back into alignment. And here's why. Your body's stress response, that cortisol rhythm that we talked about in the last episode, was not designed to live in constant output. It's meant to rise in the morning, help you focus and move through the day, and then gently lower at night so that you can rest and repair. But what's happening for a lot of women today is that we wake up to an alarm, immediately grab our phones. In fact, our phones are the alarm clock, right? We rushed into the day running on coffee instead of real food. We spend most of our waking hours under artificial light, sitting inside, moving from one deadline to the next. The body doesn't know how to interpret that kind of environment, and so it treats it like danger. And that means cortisol stays elevated far longer than it was ever meant to. And so here's where walking changes the game. Walking is a natural cortisol modulator, meaning it helps bring cortisol back into balance. When you walk, especially outdoors, your nervous system gets a signal that you are safe again. You're moving your body gently. You're breathing deeply. You're engaging the same systems that tell your brain, we're not in danger anymore. And that one simple rhythm, just walking, can start to undo months or even years of living in this chronic stress state. But there's so many more benefits because walking also plays a huge role in blood sugar regulation, which affects nearly every hormone in your body. Every time you move your muscles through gentle, consistent activity, you're helping your cells absorb glucose from the bloodstream more efficiently. That means less insulin circulating. So we become more insulin sensitive. There's fewer spikes and therefore fewer crashes and more stable energy all day long. And this matters because when blood sugar swings high and then low, your body sees that as stress. It triggers more cortisol to help stabilize things, which keeps your adrenals working in overtime. But when blood sugar is steady, cortisol naturally stays lower. And that single shift has a ripple effect. Your thyroid efficiency improves. Stable blood sugar supports the conversion of T4 to T3, the active thyroid hormone that your cells actually use. This means better metabolism for fat loss, better body temperature control, better energy. We see that hunger and fullness cues normalize. Balanced blood sugar keeps leptin and ghrelin, which are both your hunger hormones. It keeps them communicating properly so that you're not constantly craving or crashing. And then we see fat metabolism improve. When insulin and cortisol are balanced, your body no longer feels the need to hold on to stored energy. It starts burning fat more efficiently because it finally feels safe to do so. And that's why I always tell my clients, if you want to support your hormones, you want to improve your metabolism, calm your adrenals, start with walking. Because walking is movement that heals. It's steady, it's rhythmic, it's restorative. Exactly what your nervous system and your hormones and honestly, your soul need more of. So by now, I've been talking about this a lot recently. You know what happens when cortisol stays high for too long? Your body stops feeling safe. And that was my reality. When my adrenals were overworked, my body was constantly pumping out cortisol just to keep up until it wasn't. And here's what most women don't realize. Even when stress feels good, like running a business, training hard, taking care of everyone that you love, your adrenals don't know the difference. To them, it's all the same message. We are on alert. And over time, that constant output leads to what we often call adrenal exhaustion. When your body's stress response stops functioning the way it should. You might feel tired, but also wired at the same time. You wake up exhausted in the morning, and yet you can't fall asleep the night before. Your mind races when your body wants rest, and no amount of caffeine seems to help. In fact, caffeine seems to be making you feel more tired. And that was me for years. I was drinking energy drinks at the time, trying to wake myself up. I was still coaching clients, still running my store, still training as an athlete because I thought slowing down meant losing progress. And I loved doing everything I was doing. And movement was my therapy, but what I didn't realize was that the very thing that I thought was helping me cope was actually keeping me stuck in survival mode. So when I was told to pause all high-intensity workouts and just walk, I resisted really hard. But looking back, that was my turning point. Walking was the first time I moved my body without demanding something from it. There was no clock to beat, no calories to burn, no score to chase, just movement that said, you're safe now. And everything shifted. My sleep improved, my energy returned, and slowly my hormones began to stabilize. Because walking lowers cortisol by signaling safety to your nervous system. It activates your parasympathetic state. That's our rest and digest mode, where healing can actually happen. It improves circulation and oxygen flow, and it helps to reset our circadian rhythm. This is huge, especially when you do it outside in natural light. So walking is not just a break. It's a biological reset button for your stress response. And the part that I really want you to hear is when your body feels safe, your hormones finally follow suit. You cannot heal a stressed out system. Certainly can't do it by pushing harder. You heal by teaching it how to rest while still being active. And walking is the perfect middle ground. It's a movement that builds strength without stress. And today, and I walk almost every day, weather permitting, I rarely set my watch. And I used to never forget, or I would be so upset if I forgot to set my watch, like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not getting credit for this workout. Just even today, I just got back from a walk with my daughter and I realized, oh shoot, I didn't start my watch. And I just rarely do anymore because I just really enjoy walking for so much more than the steps or the exercise. So we've talked about how walking helps calm the adrenals and regulate stress. But that's really just the beginning, because once your stress response starts to settle, your metabolism begins to wake back up and everything downstream will start to follow. And one of the first places that you'll feel that shift is in your blood sugar. When cortisol is high, your body is constantly releasing glucose for quick energy. It's part of our survival wiring that we talked about. I mean, it's an ingenious wiring. But when you finally create safety, that demand eases. Your body can start using fuel more efficiently again, okay, instead of constantly being in this burn and crash mode. And this is where walking becomes more than just a stress tool. It's really this metabolic reset, one that works with your hormones instead of against them. So if you've ever hit that mid-afternoon wall, or you feel cravings that just kind of hit out of nowhere, or you have been watching the scale stay stuck no matter what you do, this is usually where your body starts fighting back. Because when your blood sugar is unstable, everything else becomes unstable too. Every time you walk, especially when you can walk after meals, you help your muscles pull glucose out of your bloodstream to use it for energy. It's like this built-in blood sugar regulator. Okay, steady, gentle, completely free. Research even shows that just a 10 to 15 minute walk after eating can lower your blood sugar response by up to 30%. It's actually pretty amazing to watch if you ever wear a CGM, continuous glucose monitor. You can really watch that happen after a meal. So stable blood sugar means steady energy. I mean, how beautiful. Calms your adrenals. Calmer adrenals mean balanced hormones. So it might feel simple, but physiologically, it's one of the smartest things that we can do to help our metabolism function the way God designed it to. So let's talk about thyroid health. Your thyroid is your body's metabolic thermostat. It helps you regulate how quickly you burn fuel, how warm you feel, how focused you are, and even how efficiently your body uses energy. But when cortisol stays elevated for too long, that thermostat turns down to conserve energy, like hang on to everything. Because again, your body doesn't see the difference between running from danger and running on deadlines. It just knows we are in survival mode. And survival mode is not the time to burn fat or build muscle. It's the time to save energy. Okay, it's the time, when I say energy, this is body fat. It's the time to save body fat. Store it. Don't let it go. And that's where walking comes in. It helps to flip that switch back. It increases circulation, improves oxygen delivery, enhances how sensitive your cells are to thyroid hormones. So that means that the hormones you already make can finally reach the cells and do their job. It doesn't matter how much thyroid hormone is floating around if it can't get in the cell to do its job. So when you walk regularly, you're not just improving your thyroid function, you're improving thyroid communication. So now the brain, the pituitary, and your thyroid are talking to each other again, sending the right messages, releasing the right amounts of hormone, and actually delivering these hormones to the cells that need them. This is a process of reminding your body that it's safe enough to turn the lights back on metabolically. And I think this is the part that most women love hearing the most, is that it supports fat loss. Walking supports fat loss. And it's in a way that doesn't wreck your hormones. Okay, it's a sustainable way, because when your body is in a constant stress state, fat loss is not a priority. It's survival. That means that no matter how clean you eat or how hard you train, your body is going to hold on to energy if it doesn't feel safe. And so when you start moving in rhythm, we have steady oxygen, balanced blood sugar, calmer adrenals, that safety signal returns. And that's when fat loss stops feeling like a fight, and it feels like it's happening naturally, not because you forced it, because your body finally starts to trust you again. Are you getting the theme here? This is why I say stop chasing calorie burn and start creating safety. Because fat loss that comes from stress will always backfire. We've all seen The Biggest Loser, right? I think we can agree that they lost their weight under stressful circumstances, and the percentage of them who gained their weight back was very, very high, because what they did to lose the weight was not sustainable. So instead of asking, am I walking enough to burn calories? I want you to start asking, am I walking enough to build trust? Because that's the shift that changes everything. And one more thing before we move on is that walking also helps your body clear inflammation and excess estrogen. When you move your body gently and consistently, your lymphatic system starts flowing. And this is really important since your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump of its own. Movement is what keeps it working. That circulation helps your body eliminate used hormones and inflammatory byproducts more efficiently. And this is going to support your liver, your detox pathways, and your hormone balance all at once. This is one of the reasons that women often notice less bloating, fewer mood swings, and just easier cycles when they start walking regularly. It's not magic. It's just physiology working the way God designed it to. Walking keeps things moving. So you can see that walking does far more than tone your legs or, help you add up steps on your watch, although it does both of those too. It rewires your nervous system because your hormones are only going to balance in a body that feels safe. And one of the fastest ways to help your body feel safe again is to walk. When we're walking, our breathing slows, our muscles loosen, our brain shifts out of fight or flight and into a calmer and more regulated state. That's your parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for rest and digestion and healing. It can finally turn back on. We were built to spend a majority of our time in that parasympathetic state. So when that happens, our cortisol lowers, digestion improves, heart rate steadies, and our bodies start rebuilding the reserves that stress had drained away. This is where walking becomes something far more powerful than exercise. It really becomes this therapy in motion. And it's really the place where I learned to truly exhale. No phone, no pressure, no plan, just space to think and pray and breathe again. And some of my most honest conversations with God have happened mid-walk, out in nature, no distractions. It's where my nervous system caught up with my spirit. And I think that's something so many of us are missing right now because our lives are so full of information, but also low on reflection. Like we're constantly inputting, scrolling, listening, learning, but it's rarely quiet enough to hear what our own body or the Holy Spirit might be saying. Walking slows everything down just enough to listen again. And when you walk outside, you're not just calming your mind, you're literally resetting your circadian rhythm. That's your body's internal clock that tells your cells when to wake, when to rest, and when to repair. So those 10 or 20 minutes outside are a nervous system therapy, a hormone regulation, a spiritual renewal all at one time. It's like a moving prayer. It's this place where peace and physiology meet, where the body and the soul finally breathe in the same rhythm again. So let's get practical before our conversation ends today. If you're ready to start using walking as a hormone reset, here's a few simple ways that you can build into your rhythm this week. Super simple, okay? Because this is not about adding more to your plate. It's about creating small moments of peace that will compound over time. So number one is walking first thing in the morning. Step outside within the first 30 minutes of waking if you can. Get natural light in your eyes. Doesn't have to be long. I mean, even 5 to 10 minutes are going to help to reset your circadian rhythm. That morning light is one of the most powerful and free tools that you have for regulating hormones and your energy. Number two, add a short walk after meals. 10 to 15 minutes after you eat can dramatically lower sugar spikes and calm post-meal fatigue. If you're getting a little tired after eating, this is going to benefit you in a huge way. So if you hit that 3 p.m. crash, this one change alone can make a huge difference for you. Number three, on stressful days, swap those intensity workouts for peaceful walks. So if you're overwhelmed or running on empty, trade that workout for just a slow 30-minute walk outside. No earbuds, no distractions, just your own breath and prayer. Let that walk be your nervous system reset. It's one of the most underrated ways to regulate cortisol and restore energy. Number four, aim for somewhere around 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day. And if you're not really tracking those right now, just start with about 7,000. And it's not about chasing a number. This is really just about consistency. It's choosing daily movement that helps your body remember peace. And number five, if you're postmenopausal, walk after your strength sessions. This really helps to improve recovery, to support estrogen balance, and to reduce inflammation. Okay, walking after lifting is going to help to move your lymphatic system and keep your hormones steady. These are all really small steps, but they carry a big ripple effect. Because the more you build these rhythms into your day, the more your hormones and your energy and your peace can all start to sync back up. And if walking is all you can manage right now, I want you to hear me. It's enough. Your body doesn't need more punishment. It needs a partnership from you. And I do want you to hear me when I say you don't have to do all of these things at one time, all 5 things I just listed. Start with one of them. Maybe it's the morning light. Maybe it's the post-meal walk. And just let that become second nature to you. And then you can build from there. Because it's not about being perfect. It's really just about heading in the right direction. And every small step you take towards safety and rhythm will add up to healing. When I think about walking, and not just as a movement, I can't help but think about how God often invites us to walk with Him. Not sprint ahead, not hustle to keep up, just walk. Because walking is steady, it's relational, it's presence over pace. And maybe that's what our bodies and our hearts have been craving all along. A slower and steadier way of living, one where peace leads instead of pressure. Our hormones respond to that. Our nervous system responds to that. Our spirit responds to that. So this week, as you walk, whether it's 5 minutes or it's 50 minutes, let it be a reminder that you don't have to rush your healing. You're allowed to move at the pace of grace. Let's pray before we leave today. Father, thank you for creating our bodies with such intentional design, for building in rhythm and rest and renewal. Lord, would you help each woman listening to slow her steps and to quiet her striving? Meet her in the movement, Lord. Help her remember that healing doesn't happen in the hurry. It happens in your peace, in your presence. Restore her strength, her energy, and her trust in the body you've given her. And as she walks this week, Lord, let her feel your nearness in every breath and in every step. In your glorious name we pray. Amen. If this episode spoke to you, if it gave you a little more clarity about what your body's been trying to tell you, would you share it with a friend? Because I truly believe so many women are walking around tired and anxious and discouraged, just thinking that their bodies are failing them when really their bodies are just asking for peace. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start understanding what's really going on inside your body, I'd love to invite you to join the waitlist for my DNA Reset for Fat Loss Academy. It's a 12-week, faith-rooted, science-backed program that includes a functional comprehensive blood panel and a DNA test kit. So this is going to give you a complete picture of how your body is designed to function. You'll learn how to interpret your results, uncover what's keeping your metabolism stuck, and finally learn how to work with your body again instead of against it. And I know that so many people say this, but I really mean it. Space is limited. Because of the level of personalized testing and support involved, I only take a small number of women at a time because I have to keep my own peace, right? So being on the wait list is genuinely the best way to make sure that you are notified the moment doors open. So enrollment officially opens at the start of 2026, and you can join the wait list now using the link in the show notes so that you are the first to hear when it officially opens for enrollment. Thank you for spending this time with me today, for caring for your body with intention, and for choosing to walk this journey with faith and wisdom. I will see you next week, my friend. That's it for today on the Nourish to Thrive podcast. If you found value here, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or send it to someone who's walking a similar path. Keep showing up, keep asking questions, and know that healing is possible, especially when you trust the one who designed your body to heal. Until next time, stay rooted in truth and nourished in grace.